Let's talk about the 2018 NFL Draft. And here we have a mind-blowing draft scenario here. Cleveland Browns, everybody says they're going to take Sam Darnold. I gave him Sam Darnold in this mock draft. He's a safe prospect. He's fairly athletic. He's a tall guy, like 6'3" and a half. Weighs about 220. And he's done fairly well. Put up 31 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in 2016. He regressed a bit the past year, 26-13. Some teams will have that as a concern. But supposedly, according to the experts, like all of them, he's the safest pick and should be the #1 pick. Now, here we go with the Giants. The Giants do not have a problem with troublemakers, apparently, as we see with the wide receiver there, the issues there. So they also have Eli Manning for another year or two, and they've made the playoffs, I think, more recently than the Browns. Browns have been really have a lot of issues. Haven't really had a good year in a while. So the coach there has to play it safe. Now the Jets, maybe the teams know who's going to draft who, and maybe the Jets felt pretty confident that they were going to get the quarterback they like, even though they gave up 3 second rounds and their other first round pick to move up to #3. Josh Rosen, he's the very accurate quarterback, best looking arm, and actually I saw that his velocity is up there with Josh Allen, so a lot of people are saying that Josh Allen is just like this physical beast. Well, I don't know about that. I think Baker Mayfield has a huge arm too, comparatively in this draft. The weakest arm out of those top 4 is probably Sam Darnold, to be honest with you. So, and he's supposedly the best prospect. Now the Bills, there's been talk about the Bills liking Josh Allen. He's a country guy, so that'd fit right in with country Buffalo, upstate Rust Belt, New York. They grew up on a farm. McDermott will probably like his toughness. But I mean, if you're going to trade up to #4, it's going to cost you a little bit, and Bill's roster is kind of needy for wide receivers, like an inside linebacker, offensive line personnel, and they have their 2 top running backs are 30 years old, and their backup is Chris Ivory. So I mean, they're looking at running backs actually. They looked at Rashawn Penny, and even Geis, who's going to be a first round pick most likely. So there's a lot of holes to fill there. Let's see, who else do we have in the draft here? Broncos. I don't have I'm going for Saquon Barkley. I'm going for Quentin Nelson. I don't know why. Maybe he's going to help their quarterback, give him some time to throw. He's supposed to be one of the stud offensive guards in a long time. Should be an automatic Pro Bowler, supposedly. Saquon Barkley, he could be something very special. Some people think he's like the best running back to come out in the past 10 years. Vita Vea, he's a line plugger, stuffer. I don't know what the Bucks need, actually. I might have looked it up. I think I probably did. But I don't know. He's a name that's talked about, so why not put him there? The Bears, I think they could... they like defensive players, Denzel Ward. 49ers could use like a cornerback or safety, so Minka Fitzpatrick fixed that. The Raiders got rid of Crabtree, and they got that Green Bay guy, that's always getting injured. So they really need a backup. So they Calvin Ridley, he's supposed to be the consensus #1 wide receiver in the draft. Dolphins go for Josh Allen. And they went for Jay Cutler. So Josh Allen's kind of raw, but Cutler isn't like they paid Cutler $10 million, so I could see them going for Josh Allen here. And the Bills, they're pretty desperate, but I don't think Mason Rudolph is that bad of a pick. I think he can surprise a lot of people. Yeah, he's been getting his number of touchdowns each year has gone up from 21, 28 to 37. He did throw 9 interceptions this past year and only had 4 the previous year, but he also only had 28 touchdowns as compared to 37. Yards per attempt was all the way up to 10 yards per attempt, and that has gone up from 9.1 to 10. He threw for 4,900 yards this year, which is incredible. That's more than Baker Mayfield by like 600 yards. His completion percentage this past year was 65, and that has gone up from 62 his like first complete year to 63 to 65. So that's a good sign. So yeah, I think Rudolph is underrated. I mean, it's not really a bargain to get him here. There's no guarantee though with number 22 that he will be there, as this is a lot of teams are looking to upgrade at quarterback. So let's look at some other people say. Chris Canty.
They're going to move out of the number 2 pick. I think they'll move down. I wouldn't rule out them moving up.
All right, Chris, moving up. Wow, look, you can't just drop that one out the door. Okay,
what rule out them moving up?
All right, Chris.
Back after you saw what they
not to rule out the Giant. Anti-Angola Kanwingo, this #1 pick to former Dallas Cowboy, of course, Chris Canty. Why, Chris, do you think the Giants might trade up for Darnold?
Well, hold it before Chris Canty speaks.
I'm talking to Chris here. I'm talking to Chris.
I think the quarterback they like is Baker Mayfield. That's my view. I don't think it's Sam Darnold.
Radio host in New York City. You treat him
it's possible it's possible the Browns go up or get Baker Mayfield at 1. He would be good in the locker room to help rally the Bad News Browns, pump them up, turn them around, and Baker Mayfield has said publicly that he'd like the challenge. Here's Bucky Brooks. Top 10, Sam Darnold, Quentin Nelson. I I think this is totally wrong. I think the Bills will trade up to number 2. I think they should and would go for Josh Rosen. He's a big guy, a strong arm. So he's not big. He's 6'3", 6'4" though. He has a strong arm. He's accurate. He's a pocket passer, and that's the brass has actually said that they want a pocket passer. So unless they're just totally flat out lying there. There's no other, just 2 quarterbacks going here. I don't see that. And maybe some teams are concerned with Baker Mayfield's off-field antics.
Those are outdated. This one is not. This is Bucky Brooks' mock draft from today.
And the Giants are going to take Rosen, or they're going to do something else. You have to have a couple in mind. But I think they came up, they saw the Bills coming up. They said, we got to get up there. They kind of panicked and made a move early.
It's possible they know who everybody's taken. Yeah.
Offense changes completely. So I think that Saquon Barkley.
I think the Browns really like Josh Allen. From my intel over the weekend,
it's possible the Browns like
they got Tyrod Taylor,
Josh Allen,
and if they could get
he's a little bit of a project,
get something from the Giants, and then also
he
get
fits the
Saquon
mold of
Barkley.
Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod actually has a big arm too, I think.
Like, all right,
I don't think Tyrod has a problem slinging it 60 yards. He can probably throw it 65, 70.
What you see with Josh Allen, imagine Ben Roethlisberger with mobility. And I went, that's kind of scary. He goes, no, this is
Josh Allen.
The best athlete. Lamar
He only
Jackson,
ran
look at him, and he's
he ran a 4.75, so he's fairly fast.
He's strong. He's big,
especially for a
great
quarterback,
arm,
but he's not like 4'6". He's not 4'5" like Tyrod Taylor. I think Tyrod runs a 4'5", 40.
One of the scouts said they wouldn't be surprised if he went top 10. All quiet.
Josh Allen's
so there's so
10
much
yard.
information out there. And I'm going, okay, hold on.
According to one site,
so they want to appear,
is actually very fast. Second fastest out of all the quarterbacks at the combine.
After Sam Darnold's workout, it's like, hey, this
even
is
faster than JT Barrett.
Well, he could go number 1, but
10
might
yards.
be number 1 to the Giants.
So, I mean, he can
offense and their
get you a first down, do some
GM,
running, 10, 15, maybe 20 yards
Josh Allen,
down the field.
It feels like the Browns can take a chance on him. Because the ceiling, from what I was told, is higher than
I don't think the Browns can take a chance. I mean, they've been bad for a long time. Bad news, Browns. Come on.
But that means Eli's on the clock maybe for only 1 year. But that time's out for him, that Sam Darnold, to ingratiate himself, get used to the New York media, play for the Giants. Eli, you got 1 more year on the clock, and then Sam Darnold moves in. But from what I was told...
Here's Pro Football Focus. They look at stats, and they're more analytical. I think Baker Mayfield, just look by the stats, he has unbelievable stats. He's heads and shoulders above everybody else in terms of accuracy. He's several of the years let's see, for 2 years he's thrown over 70% completion rate, and the yards he's gotten per throw is phenomenal, like 10 and 11 yards. That might be close to record. He's thrown 40 touchdowns the past 2 years, and he's ran for several touchdowns, I'm sure, at least. So let's hear about him. He can also throw on the run. Josh Rosen has issues throwing on the run.
Let you start. Let's go right to the top of the list. You get 1 pick. You're the Cleveland Browns. You're going to take a quarterback, and you're taking
Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma. I think when you look at his production the last 3 years, PFF system, he's been our top-graded quarterback both of the last 2 seasons, and he's got 3 out of our top 6 overall grades in his career. I just think his on-field production has been way too good to pass up. There are question marks about the system and easy throws, and all of that stuff is valid. His size, you know, some off-field stuff. But of all the smaller quarterbacks that get passed up in previous years, Baker Mayfield makes up for it with plenty of arm, accuracy, pocket movement, pocket presence. He's just a playmaker inside and outside of the pocket. And the thing I always come back to with him, he's always exceeded expectations. Came in as a walk-on at Texas Tech, exceeded. I've been looking for reasons to doubt him his entire career, but it doesn't matter which way you slice him. He always looks like the best quarterback in our numbers.
And when I watch him,
Drew Brees comparison, that's very high praise. Now, if I'm right, and the Giants
just cannot. The
Sorry
name Drew
about that.
Brees just keeps coming.
The Giants want Baker Mayfield, okay? If that's who they're going for, that leaves a place for the Bills to trade up to number 2. Because even if they want Saquon Barkley and think they need Saquon Barkley, if the Bills trade with the Giants, they will give them the first 2 round picks this year and probably at least the top of the 3rd, which is basically a late 2nd round pick this year. So you're looking at, okay, at number 12, you're going to be able to get defensive player, or you could also get the top offensive lineman at 12. If you want to fortify the line at 22, probably either Geis or Nick Chubb are going to be there. So you have a star running back right there. Yeah, they're not as good as Saquon Barkley, but you're filling in depth, you know, and you should be able to get a starter with your 2nd or top of the 3rd round pick also. So you're looking at, you should get 3 starters instead of 1, and there also might be a next year's pick thrown in there, like a 2nd. You never know, maybe even a 1st. So there's another starter. And it could be more. It could be, you know, top of the 3rd and a 2nd, which would only leave the Bills with 1 second and a 3rd instead of 2 seconds and 2 thirds and 2 firsts. So they'd only have the 1 first. So I think the Bills are willing to give a lot for that 2nd position. But I heard from Brass, even the 2019 pick. So that might actually include, you know, the 2 first rounders this year. So that would probably be going above and beyond the point value. Yeah, it would be. Okay, 3 first rounders for 1 first rounder. And one of those first rounders is going to be 12. So, I mean, that's not that low on the totem pole. 22nd is a little low, but you're still going to get a starter. You should get a starter out of that. And next year, I don't know, just throw it in the middle, like 16. Maybe they'll be drafting at 16. Maybe they'll digress a little bit. So you're looking at a lot of quality picks. You know, and then Beckham wants to, you know, try to bleed you dry for like $18 million, and you don't want to pay that. All these picks, you could get the best wide receiver in the draft. Like even this year, and Calvin Ridley could very well be there. A lot of people have him going below 12. So you could pick him up, a wide receiver this year. So I mean, you have to look the value here, and also with more picks, putting all your, even if you want Saquon Barkley, if you're gonna get like 4 players, there's always a good chance that Saquon Barkley will get injured, whereas the chance that all 4 players you drafted being injured at like the same time is pretty low. Okay?
Into my mind.
Yeah, there's no way that you can slice the numbers or the tape where Baker Mayfield isn't head and shoulders above every other quarterback in this class. And that's even when you factor in the negatives, and there are some. You know, that system at Oklahoma does manufacture him a lot of free yardage, a lot of easy plays. They run 20% of their passing plays are screens. But even if you take out all of that and you factor
Played
in
good
the
against
stuff that's
Georgia.
easier for him than it is for some of
Supposedly
these other
a
quarterbacks,
good defense.
it doesn't eat into the margin that he's ahead of those guys. He's just the best quarterback in this class.
You know, and he's NFL ready, right? All the RPO looking stuff, the play action, the quick decision making. Are we at all concerned about him off the field? Because I personally like quarterbacks that are a little bit cocky,
yes,
right? You want them to have a little bit of that stuff to.
Baker Mayfield has a nice release too at times. That's what I like about him.
At number 1 overall, the Cleveland Browns. And they will be selecting, and I kind of hinted at it,
Sam
Darnold, quarterback out of USC. Now, let me just say it firsthand about Sam Darnold. He is going to be a bit of a project. All right, I don't think he's going to be the Week 1 2018 starter. I'd expect Tyrod Taylor to be that guy, and Hugh Jackson has said as much, although we should not buy into that too much because he literally said that in March. Why should we buy into that? Now, Darnold is going to be a much better fit than Rosen would be for the Cleveland Browns. And don't ask me. Ask Jim Mora here, the former head coach of Josh Rosen, who was on NFL Network recently and said the following, quote, Sam Darnold has that blue-collar, gritty attitude and represents what Cleveland is.
I'm not sure I buy onto this
make Rosen,
stuff.
Jim, a white-collar guy with a lot of attitude? Like, it's kind of a weird statement to hear.
Yeah,
I know Jim Mora was kind of playing his analyst role there because he was on NFL Network and he was kind of providing
some people say that
sort of
he's trying to help
trying to buy too much into Josh Rosen.
Rosen
as the number 1
not
quarterback
go
there, but
to
still, like,
Cleveland.
If you look at the statements, it tells me that Josh Rosen isn't the gritty blue-collar guy. And honestly, I think he's right.
Team.
But it's funny to hear.
You go there and
so I think Darnold is going to be
going
number 1 overall.
So
I've been saying this ever since I started
just
walking. I don't think I'm going to change it at all. Darnold's got the desired size, the great pocket presence, uses his eyes really well downfield. Plenty of time for Darnold to grow
Darnold
and learn
will
with new offensive
possibly get a chance to
Bailey
start.
well.
Tyrod Taylor is
Plus,
not
he got some
as good as people
fantastic
think.
pieces on that team. Jarvis Landry, Carlos Hyde, Darren Fells,
you have
the list goes on.
a lot of good players
So,
with the Bills.
considering
McCoy,
that Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter, LOL.
you had a track athlete in Goodwin that did very well with San Francisco.
But maybe I'm wrong, and let me know if I'm wrong. And the reaction
You at times had a healthy Sammy Watkins, who was an athletic freak.
Give me a heart for Sam Darnold, a like for Josh
He had a very good
Rosen,
offensive
laughing
line
face for Josh Allen, and a
to
wow
help
face for
Tyrod out.
Saquon Barkley. Let me tell you here,
especially with the running, the
this
yards
is the beginning
per
of the
carry.
quarterback run. So let's continue on here and check in with number 2 overall and the New York Giants. This by far is my most tough decision. I have Josh Rosen going to the Giants. So I wonder if this is a good fit according to Jim Mora, by the way. We should hit up Jim Mora and ask him. So I think Rosen is someone who won't be starting in 2018 barring injury either.
I don't know about
not a lot of pressure on
agility,
him.
but
The Giants have to look ahead to the future, though.
he has
And Eli Manning
a good base,
ain't getting any younger.
strong legs.
I will say, Saquon Barkley at number
ball.
2 was so tempting for me. But I couldn't pull the trigger. I think the Giants need a backup plan at quarterback.
Giants will draft
and it needs to
a
be
running
addressed
back.
in
I
this
don't
draft.
think Jonathan
When is
Stewart
there going
is
to
the
be the next
answer.
time
He's
the Giants get a
aging.
number
I
2
think
overall
he's over 30 years old.
The Giants are a respectable
He hasn't been
organization. They're not going to be picking
star
in the top 5 year in and year out. I think they're going
that
to take
much
steps in
in
the
the
right
league,
direction,
and
especially with the new
I don't
head coach,
even
Pat
know
Shurmur, and Dave Gettleman. I think they're going to
he's
make
ever
the
been
drop.
a star.
And so the Giants, or the Jets, that is,
I don't think the Jets
figure
will
out
get this guy's
an opportunity here to get their guy.
too rough
And I
around
think
the
Josh
edges.
Allen really fits here. So
It's a
similar
project.
situation
Doesn't
with
get the
Giants
ball
and
out
Browns.
quick
I don't
enough.
think there's any pressure on Josh Allen to be the starting
Makes
quarterback in Week 1.
mistakes.
Because the Jets have Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater.
Stats are
Likely to
pretty
be bridge
poor.
quarterbacks of
Completion
some
percentage.
kind. Definitely Josh McCown. Teddy Bridgewater, I don't know what's
Touchdowns.
going to happen with him. We'll see. If
So that's three.
and thanks to this
They have
is on
Saquon
offense here. We're
Barkley.
talking about Jarvis Landry.
Going to
Perhaps a
Cleveland.
Saquon Barkley.
Could be
then
Chubb.
you
You
have-
never know. I don't know.
I say new because it kind of is new.
They
Josh
do
Gordon,
have
because
Carlos
we haven't seen
Hyde.
much
You're
of it.
just going to
And you got
add
Corey Coleman
Saquon
as
Barkley
well.
there, I guess.
So a lot of fun pieces on that offense.
I don't
Spread it
think.
around, make it happen.
I do not
Kinda
think
like
Denver
Gretchen
is going to
Wiener
go
made Fetch happen
quarterback.
in Mean Girls.
They're
Swinging for
spending
Saquon, make that
18
happen.
million
Make this happen as well. Baker Mayfield.
for
Going
Baker
to
Mayfield.
the Denver
Not for Baker
Broncos
Mayfield.
at number 5 overall. Let me say this.
Denver's
I think he is
spending
the best
18 million
quarterback in the draft. I think he is
for
the
Case
most
Keenum.
polished.
I think he's
I think
a
he has the best
pretty good
opportunity to
quarterback,
start Week 1 in
especially
2018.
compared to what they've had.
Somehow beats out Case Keenum, which I think
I
is
think he's
certainly in the realm
better.
of
I think Case
possibility.
Keenum
So
could be better
you want to talk about
than
gritty and blue collar? I think
Peyton
Baker
Manning
Mayfield
was
fits
his
that
last
bill.
year.
He's a gritty guy, has a great competitiveness to him. Here's a recent John Elway statement on Mayfield. Quote,
Keenum
watching his pro day,
has
it was
guaranteed
much of what we
money
saw
into
during
the second
season.
year.
He's a very
So
accurate
they're going to have
passer
to
for a
pay
smaller guy. He can throw the
Keenum
football a long way.
if they want to
He can make
start
every throw that you ask
the
quarterbacks
quarterback
to
the
make
second
in
year.
this league. So it was very exciting to watch him perform.
Baker Mayfield's probably one of the more, maybe the most NFL ready quarterback. Yeah. So why would you spend 18 million
going to the Denver Broncos here? Again,
on a quarterback?
Quentin Nelson going number 5. The Broncos had a need at the guard position. They got
If
to
you're,
improve their
I
run
guarantee
blocking
that
ability, but
you're going to get the most drafts.
the tall, big
NFL
arm
ready quarterback.
quarterback thing just has not worked for Denver.
I mean,
And I'm
Denver
talking
could,
about
if they really
Brock
wanted
Osweiler
to,
and Paxton Lynch. So it's time
trade
for John
up for
Elway
a
to
quarterback.
understand maybe we should head in a different direction here. And I'm sure he'll
but
be tempted to draft Josh Allen if he is
they
on the
didn't
board,
go
by
up to
the
the
way.
number 3
But
pick.
Baker Mayfield I have going to the Denver Broncos there, number 5. Let's go
I would have
to
looked
number
to
6 now, and it's the Indianapolis
gain some more picks
Colts.
to go up to number 2
So
at
thanks
least.
to this quarterback
If you're
run,
going to draft
if
the
you will,
quarterback, get the one
the
you
Colts
like for
can swing
Denver.
back, get a ton of draft capital, and oh yeah, get this guy, Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of NC State.
Doesn't make sense for Denver to spend 18 million on Case Keenum and then not have gotten the draft capital to be able to trade up to 1 or 2 or however many quarterbacks they like. So I don't see Baker Mayfield there. Josh Rosen's might be there, but he's going to be too raw. So, I don't even like Sam Darnold that much, to be honest with you. But, I don't know, maybe I haven't really looked at all his games. But I do like Baker Mayfield and Josh Rosen. I think they would be successful starting quarterbacks.
Perhaps the best defensive player in the draft. So, Chubb, I think, has exceptional explosiveness. Will be quite
Probably
the
will be
disruptor on that
chosen high
defensive
here.
line. And the Colts have really struggled to get to opposing quarterbacks. I think Chubb will help a lot in that department. Despite adding Danico Autry, I think the Colts really need to address that front 7. So far this offseason, they really haven't done all that much.
This could be an entry
Could
point
see
for the
maybe
Bills.
Quentin Nelson again here with the Colts
For
because
Josh Allen.
they have some needs at guard.
It may
They
only
could re-sign
cost them
Jack
2
Newport,
first
which I think is important.
rounds.
But letting Chubb to drop to the Buccaneers, I think, would be a little insane. I think the Colts have to get him if Chubb is there at number 6 overall. That means they get this minimal
Quentin
weaknesses.
Nelson's maybe
getting
best
glowing
overall player in
reviews
the draft. A
from
lot of
everybody
people are
out there.
saying.
His run blocking is fantastic. He eats up
I have him going 5
defenders in
to
pass protection
Broncos.
as well. The Bucs did re-sign easily. Sweezy stinks. He had an awful year in 2017. I think Nelson's going to come in so they can address the front 7, which I think is a need for them.
I think
Tremaine
this guy is
Edmonds,
overrated.
linebacker out of Virginia
I don't think he's very
Tech.
instinctive.
The good news here is that with the whole quarterback run that's going on, you can find
I have them going
some
with
really
a
good
guy like
defenders in the bottom
Denzel
of this
Ward,
top 10 here. So,
maybe Minka
like I
Fitzpatrick.
said, need on that front seven. You look at the general manager, Ryan Pace, and his history. He craves athletic traits. And he wants athletic specimens out there on the football field. Trubisky, Leonard Floyd, Kevin White were all touted as these great athletes.
Maybe we'll get
6'5",
Derwin
250.
James.
The Bears
He's very
can play him
athletic
inside.
safety.
And as maybe an outside linebacker in a 3-4, you could try him out in a league drink. He's to the Chicago. You talk about how you could experiment with Tremaine Edmonds a little bit. You could experiment with Minka Fitzpatrick in that
So that's just
secondary.
who
Now, the 49ers
I have
a pretty darn good secondary
for
as
the
we stand with
49ers
Ahkello
also.
Witherspoon and Richard Sherman and Adrian Cole. I could see a scenario where
They're only going up to 10 here, so that's where I'll stop here. They want to give Roquan Smith to the Raiders, but like I said, I think the Raiders are a little depleted after losing Crabtree. So I think they could use some receivers. I know they got the Green Bay guy, Jeepers. Why can't I think of his name? That's ridiculous. But he's Jordy Nelson. Yeah, I've had him on my fantasy teams before. So there are one or two
really has a
wide
fantastic
receivers.
football. The routes from Detroit ranks 25th among linebackers according to Pro Football Focus a year ago. But I still think
I think the
Roquan
guy with the exceptional IQ
is a special talent in the sense of pass
Josie
coverage.
Jewell.
He can do a fantastic
He's the guy
job
that I have
running
as the
the
most
routes
instinctive
opposing running backs. And
linebacker.
I think he's an athletic guy that really has a fantastic football
I think he's
IQ.
an interior
And perhaps somewhat of a leader in that linebacking core
linebacker.
there for the Oakland Raiders. Maybe not immediately, but at some point. So, Oakland, they get Roquan Smith. We'll see if
I
that
give him the
changes
top wide
going
receiver
down the line there
draft.
in my mock draft.
Yeah,
of course,
Calvin
I will
Ridley.
have a full-on mock draft
Okay.
in April, so don't you guys worry right here on the Cam Rogers Show. But if you missed my picks, here's a summary. So,
Now, here's how Pro Football Draft Guide 2018, how they rank the quarterbacks. They have Baker Mayfield number 1. That's where I would put him also. I really like Josh Rosen though, over Darnold. I would not draft Darnold. Later on, after the top 10, I would think of drafting Mason Rudolph. Josh Allen is actually way back here, number 7 for them. So that's a big drop off. And like I said, wouldn't be surprised if someone wants a wide receiver, and I think Calvin Ridley is easily the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. That a team goes in the top 10, 12, somewhere around there. He's fast, runs a 4.4, 4.43. Let's see, he's 6 foot. So let's see, here's also linebackers. Maybe Harold Landry. It's possible could slip in the top 10. You don't know, he did very well in 2016 when he wasn't injured. He had 22 tackles for loss and 16.5 sacks. That's amazing. 7 forced fumbles. That's jeepers. That's crazy. And 5 passes deflected. He also had 51 tackles as a defensive end. Or, yeah, edge rusher. Okay, so Linebackers, they have Roquan Smith. I actually have, I like Joey Jewell. It's most instinctive linebacker by far that I looked at on tape. So he had 126, 124 tackles in 15 and 16. He has, last year he had 11 tackles for loss, 11 passes deflected. That's amazing. A lot of passes deflected. He's had 4 interceptions in 1 year and 2 another, and several forced fumbles. So I really like him. He is kind of slow. His 40 speed is 4.82, but his is not a huge guy, 6'1", 230 about. His arms aren't terribly long. They're okay, 32 inches. He has some strength, 18 reps. His 10-yard speed, though, I think it's in the 4.6s, maybe low 4.6s. So he has some burst, which makes up for the 4.82. And just to let you know, the Bills, their inside linebacker, he ran only like a 4.8. He was a bigger guy. Might have been the 250-pound range, but his 10-yard speed was a lot slower.